Hello, and welcome to the Wine Enthusiast Podcast, your serving of drinks culture and the people who drive it. I'm Jordan Kaplan, managing editor here at Wine Enthusiast. This one is for the football fans. As we approach the big game, I'm sitting down with Super Bowl winner Will Blackmon, who also just happens to be the founder of Blackmon Cellars, his very own wine club, the Wine MVP, and a 2020 Wine Enthusiast 40 Under 40 honoree. Will is a multi-level certified well of wine knowledge, and we're discussing his road to wine during his playing years through Super Bowl win and beyond his very own brand. While the wine world attempts to capture the attention of sports fans through strategic partnerships with the NFL and NBA and WNBA, who better to provide insight on that intersection than a great player making great wine? Will, thank you for being here today. We're extremely excited to have you on.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked. This is exciting. Wine Enthusiast is a huge part of why I am where I am now. So I love you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate what you're doing. So for anyone who might not know, for our listeners who know you from football, how do you usually introduce yourself now? Former player, winemaker, entrepreneur, something else entirely?
Yeah, I always lead with football because that was my dream job. I thought first and foremost, I thought it was impossible to make it to the NFL. Actually, it is impossible, but at the same time, I was fortunate to do that. So I always say, former 12-year NFL veteran, Super Bowl champion, and now wine something. I don't say enthusiast. I think I graduated from connoisseur, right? I think I graduated from that. And it's funny, I majored in English at BC, so I have to find a better word.
I
Did you
majored in
really
English.
major?
Yes,
Let's
I
go.
did.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Nose rings, all black, white head earbuds. Here we are.
Well, I love that. I feel like you've graduated from connoisseur, wine entrepreneur.
How about this? Founder of the Wine MVP and Blackmon Cellars. Done deal.
That's right, and we're going to get into that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the early career. So obviously, this is our Super Bowl episode. So what better person to have on is wine entrepreneur and Super Bowl
It makes
winner.
sense.
Does make sense. So I want to get a little bit into the background. Can you tell us a little bit about your early career and journey into the NFL?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. So I'm a East Coast New England boy through and through. Grew up there, raised by our father. Lost my mom when I was very young. I lost her when I was around 6 years old. And so my father raised myself, my older brother, older sister. I was the little rock rat. I was the baby in the family. And yeah, I started playing football when I was 6 years old and just became obsessed with it. And was fortunate enough to get a scholarship to Boston College. I was pretty highly touted in high school. So I had, a lot of opportunities, fortunately. And I ended up picking BC. I thought it was great because I didn't care if it was close to home, but it was close to home, which did help because my father got to attend. So I went to BC. And then in 2006, I was drafted to the Green Bay Packers. So the same year I was drafted to Green Bay is the same year that Green Bay signed Charles Woodson. And Charles Woodson, he's a big part of my journey. So when I was at BC, when I was a senior of age, I enjoyed wine here and there. And I remember my teammate, Matthias Kiwanuka, who actually he's in the wine space as well too now. And then we ended up being teammates on the Giants. He was my roommate in college, and he had this 6-ring wine rack in our kitchen. And I didn't know what the wines were. We just always had rotating wines in there. And that was cool. We kind of felt like we were cool a little bit because we were the only athletes on campus drinking wine. So it was pretty dope. Wines and this is gonna sound crazy, but and then Grey's Anatomy sometimes,
Guys are living the Midwestern housewives
No,
dream.
like we live in Chelsea or something like that. We're doing it right. And yeah, it was pretty dope. We had wine, we watched shows like that, and then we go out and then beat up somebody. So that was pretty dope on the field. And then going into when I was in Green Bay, I still enjoy wine. I really got into beer because obviously being in the Midwest, Wisconsin, that was a huge, area for that. But I still enjoy wine. I would say for me, as a beginner, I feel like I was like most, right? I like really fruity red blends. I like really low alcohol, sweet, semi-sweet white wines, right? That was kind of the deal. So I remember like one of the first wines like I was always buying was Menage a Trois, right? That's the inexpensive red blend for some people is me on me. And then I was a huge Gewürztraminer guy. I really enjoyed that. That's kind of where I started. Oh, and then there was a Vino Verde called Casal Garcia. Oh my god, I used to absolutely.
You started with a Vino Verde.
I found it.
It's it's so
I,
popular right now. You were on the very cutting edge.
but I had no idea. Like I
I
was like,
know.
okay, this is dope. It was a cool bottle. It was very inexpensive, and it was delicious. Like that's all. That was to me. That's all I care about. And then it's funny with Charles. I followed him, when I was a kid, and really watched him in college. So to be his teammate was pretty dope. And then I found out like he was heavy in the wine scene, and usually you hear about Ricky's, getting hazed, but he didn't haze us. Instead, he took us out to dinner, which was sick, right? So he used to wine and dine us on road trips, and take us to these really nice restaurants, get really cool wines. And I got to learn about his 24 wines in Napa. And I'm like, this is pretty dope. Like you got a dude who's, on top of the world in the football scene. You got an African American male who's also in the wine space as an entrepreneur proprietor. So I was like, I thought that was pretty cool. Now, my mind didn't go straight to like, okay, I want to get into this. I just thought it was really cool because you already, whatever people think about the wine world, it's God inclusive and whatever it is, you know, I thought that was dope. So for me, that's kind of how I got started. And then I got curious. That's what it
That's
was.
so you actually knocked out a lot of my questions in that, and
See that? I'm great.
I I was hoping Charles would come up too, because I mean,
Yeah.
I imagine he would have been a role model in that, like, I feel like in a pioneer in, like, the crossover space. So you mentioned going out to dinner, that was just, like, you being curious about wine still. So do you remember, like, was there, like, a first bottle or an experience that made you think, like, "Is this something that I want to build or, like, work in?"
Yeah, Jordan, I don't remember a damn thing we had. I'll be straight up. I just knew it was a lot and it was good. But I'll tell you what, this is what happened. So, when you are a professional athlete, you get to be around, pretty interesting people. And so in Milwaukee, I got to hang out with these real estate moguls down there. And they will also invite me to Milwaukee. It was about I think an hour and a half drive from Green Bay. And they would invite me to these like really elaborate dinners. So I remember they invited me to this one dinner at this private restaurant in Milwaukee somewhere. And I mean it looked like right, if you weren't with them, you couldn't get in it. It was like that type of like mafia style. It was pretty cool. And they started ordering these wines and I saw the bottles, but then, I would look at what they were ordering and they were like huge I was like, this Burgundy. I'm like, they're crushing Burgundy. And I'm looking at these prices. I'm like, it's crazy. Like this, in point hell. Like at the time, yeah, I could afford it, but I was like, I'm not dropping that much money on like I'm gonna get like some shoes or something. I don't know. I'd rather spend it on
Yeah.
shoes. But at least I can have it tomorrow and the next
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
Um, and I'm looking at this like this is crazy, and it was just all about it and enjoying it. And for me, one of my hobbies is I'm a big lone diner. Like let me go to the restaurant by myself. Let me get the experience, almost like I'm a food critic, right? And so one day I go to one of these restaurants, and it had pretty good ratings and a really elaborate wine list apparently. So I go to this restaurant and I get seated. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find this burger dude. Like I'm gonna actually gonna find some on my own. So I order it. I tell the Som, like, this is what I want. So the Som comes over to me. He brings the wine. He puts it on my table. He pours a glass. And I was like, bro. He's like, well, I said, this is not Burgundy. And he was like, and he said, Mr. Black, because it's funny, all these restaurants in Wisconsin, they had the roster, so they knew who you were. So they're like, Mr. Blackman. They were like, how can you tell me it's not Burgundy? I said, dude, because it's white. And then And then he was like, all right. He's like, Mr. Black, I got to give you a little lesson here. So he schooled me up, knowing that is, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, all the stuff. And I didn't feel stupid. I was like, okay, this is dope. But I didn't know, like, they don't put varietals on on the bottle in France, usually. Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, you got to know which is which based on, where it is. So I was like, okay, this is cool. Now there's more information. So that's kind of for me where, I don't want to say competitor, but I was like there's more to it. So that's kind of how I got started there.
I mean, and there's endless amounts of things to know, and I think a lot of people are so intimidated to get into wine because of that fear of feeling stupid, but
Right. It's like
once you
overwhelmed.
realize
Where do I start? You
yeah, and
know?
once you realize that there's endless things to know, you never feel stupid learning something new. You're like, "Okay," you know?
Well, it's crazy because like unless you are like in it in terms of like it's in your family, you're a farmer, you've been doing this for years, you're a high level som, like if you've been doing this is your life, that's a small percentage of people. And they're gonna know a ton. And I would say it's in the 90 percentile where a lot of people don't know a damn thing, or into it. And that's kind of why I wanted to get into it because of that moment I had at the restaurant,
I love that.
is I was like, okay, I really enjoyed this. It's not so much like the lifestyle. Like, yeah, it was cool. I got to be around cool people and do this and, be bougie or whatever. But I thought it was pretty cool. Like, damn, like this one area, this is how they handle their wine. And so I immediately just started, looking at publications like Outline Enthusiast. I started looking at that.
Shadow wine enthusiast.
And then I started just, finding documentaries, all these things and try to find out myself, and just to do it on your own is a beast. Like I couldn't find the answer. It was crazy. Again, I didn't know where to even start. And then I started going to, this is a huge tip right now for people who are trying to get into the wine space.
Listen up.
I would be a nuisance to my local wine shop. Anytime they had like the tastings, like I show up. Like when I was on the Redskins, I go to Wegmans. Wegmans had tastings all day long. I show up and would enjoy those, and I wouldn't even shop. I just go there to the tastings and get to know the person who's handling the tastings, the person who knows that. Because then, if you think about it too, these people in these restaurants that are doing the tastings, like they're not lines out the door. So
Mhm.
they're here like, okay, who actually gives a damn? And if you're
Yeah.
someone who's a repeating customer that keeps coming for all the tastings, then they're gonna want to get you the information. So I started going to this wine shop like a lot of times, and they eventually the guy started calling me when the distributors are coming. And then, okay, he's like, yo, he's like, these guys are gonna come in, so and so is like, I got probably 5 distributors coming. So you come in and you can try like 30 wines, like right then and there. So for me, I'm like, absolutely, it's free education. If I want to get to know, now I didn't go to these and get wasted. I used the bucket. That's the best experience I got right there. And I started going to this wine shop locally called Wine Exchange. Shout out to Tristan, Kyle, and Patrick here in California, and they would invite me to come in at like 9 in the morning, and I mean distro's out the door,
Wow.
and I mean just cooking my enamel all, all morning. But it was pretty cool because these guys were wizards. They would in this business again. They were in this business forever. They knew everyone. They knew anything and everything. And like these distributors were so afraid of them because they were it was almost like the Fred Dame of distributors. Like they were tough, but they were really cool people. And I got to learn through that. So that's a trick for me is like get to be curious. I walked in, yeah, as an NFL player, Super Bowl champion, but I was humble enough to be like, dude, try to learn. To keep going, and then I saw Psalm, right?
Right.
Saw Psalm, like I saw Psalm, and I'm like, yo, where the f do they do that? Like, what is this? Is crazy. This is what I need. I don't have a wine background. I don't come from a wine family. I know nothing, but looks like it could help me. And so I started searching, and I remember I looked up Peter Neptune first, and then I was like, oh, he has a school right down the street from my house. Like maybe not down the street, but 20. In California, 20 minutes is down the street, just letting you know. So right down the street from my house, I just jumped. Only 2 was available at the time. And so I just took level 2 and I ended up passing it with merit. I did the in-person course. So this is obviously before the whole pandemic stuff. And it rocked my world. I was like, this is crazy. I was like, wait, all 50 states make wine? That's unheard of. Like, I had no idea.
And were
Um,
you still like active
I
in
was
the
still
NFL?
playing. Yeah, I was still
Wow.
playing. Yeah, I was still playing when I did this. And it totally just like I said, rocked me in terms of like, wow, like this is how it's done. This is what it is. Oh, malolactic fermentation, all these, carbon, like what is going on here? It was crazy, and just understanding like how much it's all about like farming and science.
When you were learning all of this, did you think after I retire, this is something I might want to build on, like continue learning and maybe like make a life with?
Yeah, because here's the thing too is even when I was getting recruited out of high school, I was the guy who played both sides. Like, hey, I want to. Actually, I did play both sides on the field, but I was like, oh, I want to go to a great school academically and sports. So I was kind of like, oh, both. I want to have a backup plan, just that and a third. And then by my junior year, I was like, dude, I'm trying to get to the league. This is cool. Like I love like being a student athlete and all this. I was like, but like the NFL is now possible. So I'm trying to get there. And even when I got there, it's so challenging. The average year is 2.5 to play in the NFL. It was so challenging that I didn't even think about plan B because I was so hardcore about plan A. And I had so many injuries, so many setbacks that when people are spending the off season working on their post career stuff or whatever the backup plan is, I was rehabbing, right? I
Mhm.
was always rehabbing every season. So I was rehabbing to make sure I was super strong for the next year. So my off seasons were different. But I would say once I took that course and got to know more and then connected with more people in the wine space, I was like, it'll be cool to make a wine one day. I remember when I was on the Redskins, that's when I found out like they make wine in Virginia. Like I had no idea. And when I got back to the Redskins, I researched it and I was like, oh shoot, there's Leesburg. We're like 15 minutes from Leesburg. There's a whole wine region there in Leesburg. And I got to connect with Doug Fabioli, Fabioli Cellars, and he literally he was like, what do you want? I was like, I'm just trying to hang out. I learned about this. I learned about cutting. I learned about grafting. I learned about bats. I learned about all these things. Like, can I just come chill? He was like, all right, like that's what you want to do. I'll clean a tank. Like, I don't care. I'm just trying to be here. He's like, all right, come tomorrow. If you really want to do this. So I was like, all right, cool. So I remember I went and bought some Columbia, waterproof type boots, that I can walk through the vineyard with. Knowing he's a farmer, the next day it was pouring rain. And I was like, oh, he's testing me. He's like, this pretty boy is not going to drive over here in his Maserati in the gravel, in the mud, in boots. And I was like, all right, bro. So as soon as we were done meetings, and this is funny, I will go right after practice. No one knew this. I will leave right after practice and go to this vineyard.
That is
And so,
commitment.
and so after practice, I got in my car and I tore my car up a little bit, drove in there, showed up my boots. I had my shears. I was like, what's up? Oh, I was like, let's get it. And he was like, okay, cool. So it was pretty cool to hang out with him. I did that all one spring. I would just go there and just be there. I didn't really want anything. And, I got to like replant. I got to, do a bunch of stuff. So that was pretty cool. But then I thought about like, okay, do I want to make a wine? And then I asked some people around that I knew and they pretty much all scared me out of doing it. They were like, they go, you want to lose money? And I was like, no, there's like the knowing wine. These are a lot of people, had businesses before and then they want to do something new. And I'm like, that's a good point. I know a lot of guys now or people who, yeah, they used to have a business, they sold it, now they got a bunch of money and they go buy a vineyard. Here we are. And so I was like, all right, how can I take my sports, my network in sports entertainment, now my new network in wine and combine them? And I was like, you know what? I can do like something, I can find a way to make wine fun and enjoyable. And that's why I was like, you know what? Let me come up with something cool. So I thought like the NFL wine guy. And I was like, it's cool. It's catchy, but it's so gimmicky. And I like to have fun. I'm silly. I'm really silly. But like, I can't be on like that all the time. Now it's a real gimmick. I got to hold on. Now people wait for NFL wine guy. I'm like, oh, okay, that's corny as hell. And then I was like, oh, the wine MVP. I'm like, that's dope because the NFL wine guy seems like just a football. The one MVP, you can be the MVP at any sport. And then I was like MVP. I was like, oh, most valuable palate. That's sick. And that's kind of where it started. And it was just, you know, just pretty much trying to elevate everyone's wine experience who doesn't really know. You know, how can I help with anything? Can I connect you with who? And so you start a company, you start a business, like call your friends, right? So I'm like, okay, I know some guys who have cellars. I connected with this wine shop. I can get wine from them. So let me just see if they want a cellar built. And this is me, like, as I'm playing, still like hitting up guys
Incredible.
to do the cellars. And I remember I called Matt Ryan on the Falcons and Reggie Bush. And they were like, yeah, like, let's do it. So I started doing cellars like early. And then eventually I partnered with Wine Exchange and did a wine club. I just picked 2 bottles and just sent. I just wanted something I can get people in the hands. I wasn't making any money doing this stuff. I was just trying to find a way to get started. And I remember people caught wind of it. And this is kind of what expedited it. Is I remember I got a call from my friend Mike Jones, who used to work for the Post, I believe it was. And he called me and he's like, hey man, I'm at the Athletic. I want to do an interview with you about what you do. I think it's pretty cool, like what you're doing. I was like, yeah, you know, let's do it. Let's chat. So he came through and we did like a cool interview. And then he's like, yeah, I'll be out in a week or so. So I thought it was like a small, you know, column or whatever. So I'm out and about and my phone is like ringing off the hook. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, I thought something happened to somebody. And I remember Jacob Ullman, he's one of the executives, long-time executives at Fox Sports. And he called me. He was like, no, he texted me. He's like, you see this? And I look, and I'm on the front page of USA Today Sports, like in a cellar. And I'm like, oh my gosh. He was like, yeah, dude, like this is crazy. And I said, Mike, I said, you didn't tell me USA Today. He goes, oh, I swear I did. So yeah, I got a call from, I remember the first call was Drew Bledsoe.
Wow.
Yeah, so people started calling me out. The Rick Meyer reached out. So now I'm getting all these guys. I'm like, okay, we have another person who's interested in who likes doing this stuff. That's how the Wine MVP was born.
And that's not like celebrity on a bottle, like name on a bottle. This is like, I care about learning and teaching other people.
Yeah. So just to further on the education part, like that's where I'm like, okay, once I did the WSET, I was like, I need more. I need to figure this out. And then obviously learning about that, I was like, okay, but these guys on this movie, they're doing CMS, they're doing quartermasters. What the F is that? and then I found out, okay, they're offering the intro in Beverly Hills, and I'm like on it, right? So I signed up for that one, and I went there, and it was actually led by a master, Michael Jordan, and I thought that was really cool. Because he's funny. He's funny and he is tough. He's a tough teacher. That helped me a ton. And then I went back to school, went to Sonoma State, and I did their 2-year wine business certification program. Because I'm like, okay, well, if I really want to know how to make money in this, well, let me learn like the business part of it. And so yeah, I went and did that. And then this is fun. Then I went and took certified again. But this is my fault. But no, hell no. This is my fault. Because I didn't like go ahead and actually like, I didn't do my best to like go for it. So I almost passed tasting. I did not do well with the theory. But you know what I did pass?
What?
Service.
Wow.
I never worked a day in a restaurant in my life.
Yeah, but you dine alone. You know what good service looks like.
I dine alone.
Like,
I know.
I mean,
yeah, it was Josh Orr was proctoring my exam, and he was like, he said you were just good with people, even if you didn't know like a cocktail, whatever. He said you knew you were just good with people. Like, hey, I don't know this, I can get this, or whatever it was. So I passed half of it, and so I actually didn't go and do the other part, and then I did WSET 3, so I did that. So I know that was a mouthful, but I went crazy trying to learn a lot.
So let's talk about Blackmon Cellars. So we started with Wine MVP.
Yes.
What gave way to Blackmon Cellars?
So with the Wine MVP, I started, so pretty much with the Wine MVP, I elevated to a point now, we started doing like full-on experiencing. So just to elaborate more on that, I curated trips for, high net worth people, and for athletes, any athlete. Like I just did a trip last year for David Bakhtiari from the Packers. Like he took his whole family. We did a whole weekend thing for him. We did some for like some high net worth companies. We did like private dinners. We flew in like Chef Adam Sobel from Top Chef. Like we go crazy. So we do that stuff. And I also do a lot of tastings. So I got flown out to Boca Raton, ironically for the NFL Players Association. I did a tasting for about 200 people, I think, which is nuts.
That's a lot.
But to do a tasting for 200 people who don't really know wine like that. They like wine, but they don't really know it like that. So it sounds crazy to them. Like, okay, this guy's kind of talking over us. So what I did is I was reading the room. I'm like, damn, ain't nobody paying attention to nothing I'm saying. So I jumped off the stage. And I just started walking around. I was like, what do you get? What do you get? Like, what's your site? What do you see? What color? Go through it. And they were like, like garnet, ruby. So then it's like in class, right? When you start walking around, everyone now like really trying to evaluate their wine. So I had everybody locked in because like, he might come to me and ask me a question.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny. It turned into a cool like stand-up show, and it was really cool, and it was a blast. But then this lady come up to me afterwards, and she was like, "Are these your wines?" And I said, "No, they're not my wines, but you can get them in our subscription box." And I tell you what, Jordan, when I said the word no, I lost her, because she was like, "These aren't your wines. They're wines you picked, but they're not yours. And we were connected to you, not so much like what you have here. So if these aren't your wines, then I'm not interested." And so that's where the light went off. I was like, I need to make wine. I talked to some custom crush homes. I talked to, people who do stuff like that. And somebody who's been very gracious to me during my whole journey was Malik Imrani at Vice Wines. And I talked to him about it. He was like, I'd be down. I'll be like instantly. Because
Wow.
I know your journey. I know your story. I know how hard you work. I know what you're about. I'd be down to help. So that's kind of how it got started. And he's like, just tell me what you want. What do you want to do? And one Blackmon. I always had Blackmon. I got the LLC Blackmon Cellars maybe like 2016. Just never did anything with it. I just got it because I was like, one day you never know.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are 10 years later. Right.
I mean, that was smart.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, I want to do a red blend. I want it to be premium, but I'm not trying to smack anybody in the head financially. Like I want you to pay, good money for it, but I'm not trying to like break your pocket in half. And so I said, I love Bordeaux blends. My wife, she loves Bordeaux blends too. And I said, but I want to do something a little different. I said, I want to, instead of Cab Sauvignon be the lead grape, I said, what Cab Franc? Let me
Also
go
on the
ahead.
cutting edge of that, Cab Franc is having its moment last year and this year.
Yeah, because I was like, I still want the weight, the structure, the body, right, of like a left bank Bordeaux blend, but I also want some aromatics, some elegance, some freshness, like on the front, on the nose. And so I was like, I'm gonna lead with Cab. Now I didn't go crazy, and I'm like 70% Cab Franc. I went with like 40%, right? So I went 39, 40% Cab Franc. From Rutherford, had to get that Rutherford dust in there. You know what I mean? and it was like 30, Cabernet Sauvignon still. Like I still want that. And then with Petit Verdot, for some of that spice. And then I got Malbec from Coombsville, which was cool.
Interesting.
So I finished it with Malbec. And the reason why I finished it with Malbec, and nothing against Merlot. I like Merlot. I'm not one of those people. I enjoyed Merlot. I'm cool with it. We're good buddies. right bank all day. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're done Merlot hating in
yeah.
2026.
Okay. No,
Everyone.
it was in a movie and everybody wanted to
Yeah,
get
we
cool.
got it.
Like, relax. Okay. But I went, so you got the Cab Franc, you got the Cabernet Sauvignon, you got the Petit Verdot. And then I was like, you know what? This needs like a snuggle, right? You got all that stuff. You got it's a rainy day. It's cold. You got a warm meal, maybe some pho,
Mhm.
like something comfortable. And then it's like, okay, what is going to be the blanket in Netflix? It's all that cool
So
climate,
good.
right? And then about 70% new French oak. So it came at about like 14 and a half alcohol. So yeah, that's what I wanted.
No,
And then it's funny because I literally I was the chemist. This probably took me like 6 months to like get it right.
oh, I
Of,
can
of,
imagine.
yeah,
I'm sure it
yeah,
had to be perfect, and I mean,
yeah. That's why the percentages are crazy. It's like 39, 31. It's like 16, 15. It's crazy. Um, but yeah, but I thought for the first round it came out like way better than I expected. It's funny too because when 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 Malik sent it to me, I was so excited to like open it, and I all my knowledge went out the window, and I remember I opened it, drank it, and I was like, "What the? This is
oh
what
no,
is this?" I said, "Oh, dude, man." I was like, "Okay, maybe because I said this is crazy." He was like, "Will." I was like, "What?" He goes, "Bottle shock." I'm like, "Damn it!" It's like you're right. He said, "Give it a week." It literally just got bottled and sent to me.
just got bottled.
It
Yeah.
literally just got bottled, and I was like, "Oh shoot!" I was so excited. I forgot. I didn't even think of none of that stuff. You know. So yeah, that's still so it's $69, $70. So I think it's like right there. And I didn't want it to be too cheap. I don't want it too expensive. So I it's decided it's getting great reviews right now. People are excited. It's in one restaurant right now in Cali, and I got about three that are interested in having it. So yeah,
Well,
so far so cool.
congrats, and definitely a labor of love. So I want to talk a little bit about the crossover from the sports world and the wine world kind of trying to capitalize on that consumer market and or break into that consumer market. So I read an article from Forbes earlier this year that said things that went right in 2025 was wine being able to capture a new audience. So Kendall Jackson obviously is the official wine partner of the NBA and the WNBA. And then Barefoot has become the NFL's official wine partner, and the number from the article said that they had netted somewhere around 4 million new customers directly related to the partnership, which I think is wild. I wanna talk about, like, what do you think that there what can wine do to, like, market to sports fan, and what traditionally goes wrong when trying to market to a new audience, do you think?
I just think that this is my initial just reaction off the cuff. Like obviously I don't have any of the numbers presented to me now, but I just feel like that these sports are now treated more like lifestyle brands, and you're getting more people curious, more people interested. You're seeing a huge rise in women only fantasy leagues. So these women are meeting up in offices. They're having wine, they're having gifting, and they're having real drafts. And so, and I think too more people are getting educated just on the game in general. So I think when you're getting new people educated on the game, they might already have what they prefer. You might have more wine drinkers that are more curious about the game. So therefore that's what they're having instead of beer. So I just think you have a huge just rise in different people who are more interested in the game and who are learning more about it. So that's just my initial thought on how that is.
So, as an athlete that makes wine, do you feel like do you think that that would make your wine more credible to an NFL fan base? Like, if like, from a marketing standpoint, do you think they would be more trusting of your brand?
Um, I think so. I think so. Yeah. Um, especially when I think me being who I am, what I did is kind of like so. When I learned about obviously making wine is cool, but at the end of the day, like, can you sell, right? People, at the end of the day, you have the best wine on earth, but can you move the bottle off the shelf? And so, people are constantly thinking like, how can I create something to get someone to grab the bottle, right? And so I think for me, a small audience of people who like football and want to know about wine, it's like, okay, yes, they'll get it because of what I did. And then hopefully when they actually have it, they actually like it. So, I would say so far, it's been like that. And I've been getting a lot of support, especially not just from like fans, but a lot of my former colleagues uh, are getting it and enjoying it, or buying, like, especially during the holidays, people are buying cases for their friends and families and coaches. So that was pretty dope.
One question I have to ask, was there a bottle that you opened after the Super Bowl? Was there a special bottle?
All I remember is Kid Rock was performing. I know. That's all I I remember Kid Rock was performing. I remember just starting with the game. I think Kelly Clarkson did our anthem. I think Madonna was halftime. And then ended up winning the game. We beat the Patriots. And then I remember I was changing, and then I turn around and I see Seal and Heidi Klum. And they were like, "Hey, congrats." I was like, "Thanks. Bloody appreciate it." And there's so many people it was like, I think Penelope Cruz is there, Brad Pitt. It was crazy because also Steve Tisch, one of the owners of the Giants, he's in the movie space. So, but then I remember getting back to the hotel, we put our stuff away, put our son to bed, and then yeah, Kid Rock was performing, and then I know we had to get to the airport in like 5 hours. That's all I remember. Yeah, I don't remember the wine.
I was sure you were gonna be like, "Yes, it was this beautiful champagne." No, I'm sorry.
Because it wasn't even real. That's the thing, Jordan. It wasn't even real. And I just, like, yeah, if I won one now, I'd be like, oh yeah, we had this, blah blah. But I don't remember anything. It was such a blur the whole week, the whole game. I don't remember
That
anything.
is incredible. Okay, so what would you pair buffalo wings with?
I would go with a whole Micah Demeanor.
That
Let's
is a
go.
great choice.
Taking it way
That's a
back
great choice.
to the very beginning.
If you were
Yes.
I was drinking like 1.5s of relaxed Riesling at that point in time. So,
Dude, I had the old was it the
mhm.
Rossi? The jug
Oh,
back in the
yeah.
day.
Mix it with Sprite.
That's all aggressive. That's
I was in college. Shout
UNF
out UNF swoop. What about like 7-layer nachos? What are we pairing with it?
7-layer nachos. Like, what, like,
Yeah, like
layers?
layers. Like, you got your veggies, you got your cheese,
I
you got
never
like
heard.
that's a thing, right? Is it 7-layer dip?
I
Come on
mean,
now.
I live in California, so we don't really say like 7-layer
Okay, well,
nachos.
your
Just like
cauliflower
nachos.
substitute nachos.
Wow. Um, you know what I've been doing? So we always have like Taco Tuesday. This week was Taco Wednesday in
Mhm.
the house, and like I don't know, something about like nachos and rosé. That's like
Wow,
all
I
I've been
love
doing.
that.
Uh,
All right, let's do what about like a jalapeno popper, like something spicy?
Dude, okay. Have jalapeno poppers. The person who makes them at this grocery store, because they don't take none of the seeds out and me up.
That's diabolical.
Lit me up. Um, yeah. I mean, again, I go back to the low alcohol wines. So I probably just have straight up grape juice.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, let's go Riesling with that bad boy.
Ah,
Let's go with some Riesling because you think of like sushi, right? Some spice would be that same kind of zip. Go with like a, I would say sweet, but I like to off dry. I'll go
yeah,
off dry.
Washington.
Speaking of, dude, Charles, that's my dog.
Oh.
Oh,
I was hoping you'd bring it up. I'm like so endeared to him for no reason, but he's just always been one of my favorites.
dude, he sent me an '84 Barbaresco for my birthday a couple years ago. He's just great. I have a lot of people. I do want to add this. So I had a lot of support and help through this whole journey. And like my whole purpose in this space is how can I help somebody else? This wine world is such an is so driven with so much ego and aggressive energy and whatever have you. But I think like I don't think I know. I think there's enough for everybody. Like everyone can still support each other and still have their own individual success. And that's a team. That's what I knew. I knew that as a team, and I did my best. I didn't want to walk into this space like, oh, here's this NFL guy. I'm like, nah, dude, like I don't know anything. And whatever you got, like I'm down. I already mentioned the guys at Wine Exchange to help me out, Drew Bledsoe and Stan Kroenke. And, I got one of my closest friends for the past 10 years, Dylan Proctor. He and I are really, that's like my brother. Christina and Jason Wise at Psalm TV. Madeline, Pat Pluckett, she's been great. Matthew Kaner, he is my oracle. Derek Westbrook, he's actually the first person I saw that I was like, he was 40 to 40. That's pretty dope. I thought his shoot was sick. And I was like, damn. I was like, you know what? I was like, that'd be cool to be in it one day. That's what I said. To hear her, she's been great on the Hughes Society. Obviously like Malik and then, Scott Gold at Opus. I'll be here all day. Seriously, of all the people, obviously Michael Jordan has been ridiculously helpful. Just Gracie Delisle, she does more hospitality stuff. There's just so many people who I'm not afraid to like I need help. But also how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And so anything and everything that I have done in this space has been a team effort. A huge blessing to me is Ewan Ventners. He's in England. He used to be the CEO of Fortnum Masons, Hauserworth, and now he's Ted Baker, the CEO there. Through my connections there, being in there, because I used to live in England when I worked at Sky Sports, that I connected with the people at 6-7 Pall Mall. And now I have like an honorary membership there. So if I'm in town, they let me in there just to do whatever. I got to meet Gray over at Corbin, the inventor, and got to connect with him. He's been extremely helpful. So that's what it's about. It's somebody might hit me up. Hey man, we need wine for event. Cool, man. I just want to help. I just did Kendra Wilkinson's event, and it's like at Sir, which was, I know, you're such a Bravo.
That was my last podcast episode, was Bravo and
Was it
drinking.
really?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I just got, because of somebody who we invited a Hollywood writer to one of our events, and he just hit me up yesterday like, hey, would you want your wines at the Oscars?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect nothing in return, but when it's genuine like that, I'm like, that's dope. So I had
incredible. I love the team player mindset of it.
yeah. So just to the point where, like I said, it's been dope just to do that, connect with all these Michelin star chefs. Fresh Laundry's been dope. Press has been awesome to help me. Coach Fetton's family. I might go on and on and on and on.
I love that. Okay. Will, thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure having you on today.
Jordan, thank you so much. It means a lot, and I am forever grateful for Wine Enthusiasts.
There you have it, sports fans. Wine is a team sport. I want to thank Will for his time and insight today, and his years of dedication to learning wine, all while making it more approachable to fans. You can email us your comments and questions at podcast@wineenthusiast.com. Remember, you can subscribe to this podcast on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to your favorite shows. You can also go to wineenthusiast.com/podcast for more episodes and transcripts. I'm Jordan Kaplan. Thanks for listening.